Good evening, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing a book, The Vanderbeekers of 141st Street. So this book was written by Karina Yaglesa. Yes, if I got that correctly. It's actually a children's book, and I really enjoyed it. The fact that it's a children's book doesn't mean it was boring. I really enjoyed the storyline. So the story goes this way: the Vanderbeeker family, which consists of their dad, their mom, and the Vanderbeeker children, a set of twins, Issa and Jesse, Oliver, a boy, Hyacinth, the next girl, and Lenny, the baby of the house. In this story now, it's few weeks to Christmas, and the Vanderbeeker parents are told by their landlord that he's not going to renew their lease, and the family has to find some other place to stay. The news came to them all of a sudden, and the parents tell their children that that's what the landlord has said. They have to leave immediately after Christmas, right? And the children are upset because they've grown in that neighborhood all their life, and it's quite difficult for them to imagine themselves in another place. And so they try their best, and they do everything in their power to make sure that they remain in that house, in that neighborhood. So some of the different things that they try, they tell their friends, they tell the neighbors, and because everyone is even asking, everybody asks why the landlord won't renew their lease. And the truth is that the landlord didn't give any reason why he won't renew their lease. He just wanted them out of the house, of that compound. And so the children were thinking maybe it's their fault, maybe because they are loud, the way children can be, maybe because they play loudly and all that, and maybe the landlord doesn't like it, that's why. So they tell everyone that cares to listen that the landlord is evicting them. Some of the kids, like someone like Hyacinth, thought to herself that maybe she could go to the landlord herself personally to plead with him to allow them to continue staying in the house. But when on getting to the landlord's doorstep, she just stands there, maybe out of fright, because Hyacinth is the most frightened and she's always in her shell, and she's the introvert out of the children. So maybe because of that behavior, she just stands by the door, and then the landlord opens the door and he's looking at her. And Hyacinth didn't have anything to say. She was quite scared. She ran back to her house. So she told the other kids, her siblings, about the Biderman. Yes, Mr. Biderman is the name of their landlord, but they call him the Biderman. So she tells her siblings about the Biderman, and she tells them that he looks scary, he looks like a werewolf and whatnot, because the children have actually formed their own opinions about the Biderman before she actually met him. So it was those opinions that they formed that she used to describe him as being a werewolf. It was quite funny. That it was funny the way she described him as a werewolf. And the other children, like Oliver, he put this CD in front of the landlord's house, expecting that the landlord would listen to the music and like the children and let them stay. But the next time he saw the CD, he saw that it was broken in the waste bin of the landlord, right? So they tell everyone that cares to listen, like I said earlier. They even started up this petition against their landlord so that their landlord doesn't kick them out. One of Oliver's friends, Angie, actually told him that she's going to investigate the Biderman, so that maybe whatever information that she can come up with to help them to know how to tackle the Biderman, right? And the Biderman, honestly speaking, from the way he was acting to that family, he was actually impolite. I don't want to use a strong word here. He was impolite, he was insensitive, because there was even a point where they were still in the house packing up their things. They're packing up their things little by little, and as they're packing up their things in the house, he had actually called an estate agent to get someone to come and view the house while they were still there. Like, no, that was uncalled for. I thought that was a bit too much. Whatever they had done, he should have at least been patient for them to actually leave the house before he starts to get prospective tenants to come and check the house, right? So everybody had their thing going on, and everyone had their plan of how to convince the bitter to the Vanderbeekers children stay. And on the other side, the twins, that's Issa and Jesse, they had their own plans, and we also see some part of their personal life. We also see their personal life. Jesse goes to this bakery close to their house where their schoolmate works. Their schoolmate Benny works, and she buys she buys pastry in that baker shop. And Benny, the guy who is working there, tells her that he would like to go to the school dance with her twin sister. He was telling her that, and she wanted to know Jesse's opinion if Issa would like to go, and Jesse says no, Issa would not like to go to such a thing. Unknown to Jesse that Benny really liked Issa, right? And the thing is that Issa also liked Benny as well, unknown to Jesse, like I said. So that kind of like got in the middle of their relationship as twin sisters, because later Benny, when Benny later saw Issa, he was quite pissed and angry, and when he saw her, Issa was coming to tell him that the bitter man had told them to leave the house, so she was coming to inform him that she wouldn't be staying in that area any longer. But Benny was angry because he felt like Issa had turned him down. That put a strain in their friendship. And later Issa found out that he asked her sister Jessie, and her sister said she wouldn't be going to the dance. It got Issa quite angry. She was angry with her twin sister. In fact, it came to her raising her voice. She was shouting at her sister, like, why will her sister meddle in her life, blah blah blah. She really liked this guy, she really wanted to go to the dance with this guy, and now he's taking someone else and whatever. But I can't be angry at Issa, and I can't be angry at Benny as well, because they are teenagers, right? They are just experiencing this kind of feelings and they don't know how to process it. So that's why I believe that's why she was shouting at her sister. She was a bit mature and with a little bit more experience. I know that won't be an issue, but it was fun to read, because it made me to remember my teenage days as well. How you overreact to some certain new emotion that you are going through. So I like that part. That part was really nice. And Oliver, in trying to tackle the landlord, Oliver sends these nasty notes. He writes these notes like, oh, Mr. Biderman, you are so mean, you are so wicked. Why won't you have us around? What did we ever to do to you? Why are you so frustrated? Why are you taking out your anger on us and blah blah blah? He said all those things. Mr. Biderman just chose not to answer. Mr. Biderman is always locked up in his house anyway, because whenever they ask people about Mr. Biderman, what can they tell them? What can the people tell them about Mr. Biderman? No one actually has anything to say, because Mr. Biderman is always locked up in his house. People don't know him. He doesn't associate with anyone. Most people don't even know what he looks like, including their parents. The Vanderbeekers parents don't even know what Mr. Biderman looks like. Right? Mr. Biderman later gets to find out that the children have started the petition against him, kicking them out of the house, and he calls their father and tells their father to warn the children to stop that, because he really like them out of the house. And so the father calls the children to order, and they send their apology, written apology anyway, to Mr. Biderman. After all this, the children sort of accept that they are going to be leaving that environment. But Oliver's friend Angie later finds out, and so does Jesse also. Jesse finds out from Benny's mother, who is in charge of the pastry store. So Jesse and Oliver find out around the same time the reason why Mr. Biderman is being stuck up the way he is. They find out that Mr. Biderman lost his wife and his daughter in the same day, and the daughter was 16, I think. They both died in an accident, and ever since then, no one has seen Mr. Biderman. He's just sort of like disappeared from everybody's life and just locked himself up in his house. Knowing this, the children then decide to rest their case and leave Mr. Biderman and just focus on the future, cooperate with their parents to move out of that house. So after that is Christmas Day. Christmas Day is here. They are celebrating Christmas. They celebrated it with their neighbors, like the final celebration together with their neighbors before they move out. And Isa, who is very good at playing the violin, she decides to play the violin for everyone who is there for Christmas. And as she plays the violin and everyone is enjoying the sound and enjoying the music, they hear Mr. Biderman banging the floor, because like it's a story building. The house is actually a story building, and Mr. Biderman stays at the topmost building while their house is directly under his. So he was banging on the floor, like trying to signal to them that the noise is disturbing him, the noise is too much. And the children get pissed, like, why will Mr. Biderman be angry that they are playing music on Christmas Day? They are practically celebrating, so what is his stress? Isa gets angry and she goes to Mr. Biderman's house. She knocks on the door. He opens the door and she starts to play her violin right in front of him. Mr. Biderman didn't say anything. He allowed her to finish playing the violin, and he just went back into his house without saying anything. It was after that incident, as everyone went back to their houses and the guests were leaving the Vanderbeekers home, Isa's music instructor then tells her that he didn't know that was Mr. Biderman they were talking about. He tells her that he knows Mr. Biderman from before my parents moved into that house, right? He tells them Mr. Biderman's daughter was also a violin student under him. He was the one teaching Mr. Biderman's daughter the violin, and the daughter was also very good at the violin. So that's why the teacher says that's why Mr. Biderman was trying to signal them to stop making that sound. It was reminding him of his late daughter. And Isa felt so bad, the children felt so bad. After that information, everyone was sad that night. So the next day, that's Boxing Day, right? The children go to Mr. Biderman's home to issue an official apology for what Isa had done the day before. But Mr. Biderman invited them in, and he was apologizing to them, telling them he understands how they feel, he understands that they are confused, but they should just please forgive him and pardon him for all that he has been through. And the children are like, they already know, they found out what happened to him, and they are sorry for the way they've acted and everything. And that incident made them to call a truce. Everybody was okay with everyone. The Biderman had forgiven them, and they are forgiving him as well. And so they invited him over to their house. They invited the Biderman over to their house to celebrate the remaining of Christmas with him. Biderman then tells the children's parents that he has changed his mind and he will renew their lease. They can continue to stay on in that house. So that was how the story ended. Although there was an epilogue after the story where Benny later comes to the Vanderbeekers home to take Isa out to that dance, because apparently Benny was hot and he was just lying to Isa that he had gotten someone else for the dance, whereas he hadn't. So they were going to go to the dance together, and the Biderman was talking to Benny and telling Benny, oh, you better be careful with her, I'm going to be watching you, you have curfew time, I'm expecting you to bring Isa back by so and so time, you better be a gentleman and whatnot. He was just acting like her father, right? So, and it was so nice seeing that the Biderman had loosened up and he was ready to accept the children. Although that epilogue got me scared, I got scared, like for someone who has locked himself up and shut himself out of the world for years, and then he's now acting protective towards the girl who is almost like his daughter, the girl who reminds him the most about his own daughter. I feel if it's in reality, it will be a warning signal for someone like me, to be a red flag. I'll be scared for that. But anyway, this is a children's book, and things don't escalate up to that point. So yes, we're going to accept it, and that's how the story comes to an end. So I really enjoyed the story, and yes, this book is the first book in the series. It's the first book in the Vanderbeekers series. I will try as much as possible, like I always say, to read the remaining books. I think there's a book 2 and a book 3 for this Vanderbeekers series, so I'll try as much as possible to read book 2 and 3. I really enjoyed this story, and I didn't even talk about the last daughter, the last child, the baby of the house. She was just so cute. I like the baby of the house. She was so cute. She was always making light of the whole situation. When everyone was tense, she was always there to make them smile, cracking her own jokes. And yes, I don't think she's up to 4. The baby wasn't up to 4. I think it's 3.5, 3.75 thereabouts years old. That's what I mean. 3.5, 3.75 years old. So it was so cute. I will read the book, or I rate the book 4 stars out of 5. It's a very good children's book, and the way I classify children's book, or the way I rate, or for me to tell you that a children's book is very good, it means that it will be enjoyable for all age groups. So for me to have sat down and read this book and enjoyed it so much, then it's a great children's book. So if you haven't read it, I would advise you to pick it up and read it, and you can give it to children. I think I would say the book is good for children from between the ages of 4 5 to like maybe 16, at most to like 16. Yes, so the book is very good. I really enjoyed it, and that's my review on the Vanderbeekers of the 141st Street. So see you next time. Bye.